The Descent of Consciousness, A Path into the State of Darkness. This paper explores the concept of the state of darkness as the absolute opposite of enlightenment, where enlightenment represents the full expansion of human consciousness toward unity, love, and divine awareness. The state of darkness reflects the collapse of consciousness into survival, anger, and ignorance. This work presents a step-by-step model of descent, a whirlpool pathway in which each stage of consciousness pulls the soul deeper into separation and shadow until it reaches the final state of spiritual death. Human beings exist along a spectrum of consciousness. At one extreme lies enlightenment, the radiant expansion of awareness beyond the self into the infinite. At the other extreme lies the state of darkness, a contracted mode of being in which consciousness falls into its lowest possible vibration. This descent has been described across cultures as hell, Naraka, Tamas, or the shadow realm. Understanding how one falls into this state is crucial, for the process is not instant but gradual, a slow spiral downward. Like a whirlpool, each level of descent tightens the pull, making escape increasingly difficult. 2. Defining the state of darkness. The state of darkness is the endpoint of the descent of consciousness. It is characterized by, emotionally, rage, hatred, and resentment as dominant states. Mentally, ignorance and delusion, the inability to perceive higher truths. Spiritually, complete disconnection from God, the higher self, or divine unity. Behaviorally, reduction to survival instincts. Eat, fight, reproduce, dominate. It is the opposite pole of enlightenment, where consciousness instead rises into infinite awareness, love, and unity. 3. The 7 stages of descent. The journey into the state of darkness can be mapped in 7 progressive stages, each leading to the next. Restlessness, anxiety and confusion without direction. Inner emptiness is ignored rather than addressed. Fear, life is viewed through paranoia and insecurity. The world feels hostile. Desire, greed. Fear is masked by the endless pursuit of possessions, pleasure, or addiction. Envy, jealousy. Comparison and resentment dominate. Others' success becomes unbearable. Pride, ego, a false self is inflated, rejecting humility and connection. The soul isolates. Hatred, anger hardens into cruelty and violence. Destruction becomes a way of asserting power. The state of darkness consciousness collapses entirely. Only primal rage and survival remain. This is the deepest form of hell. Each stage represents a tightening spiral of awareness, pulling the soul further away from light and love. 4. Symbolism of the whirlpool. The whirlpool serves as a fitting metaphor for this descent. Just as water spirals inward toward a collapsing center, consciousness spirals downward when fear, pride, and hatred accumulate. At first, the pull may feel slight, restlessness, insecurity, but by the time hatred emerges, the momentum accelerates rapidly toward collapse. At the core, the state of darkness is the singularity of the soul's fall. No expansion, no higher vision, no freedom. 5. Cross-cultural parallels. The concept of this descent appears across wisdom traditions. Christianity, hell as eternal separation from God. Buddhism, Naraka, realms of suffering born from ignorance and hatred. Hinduism, Tamas, the guna of darkness, inertia, and destruction. Mysticism, the shadow self when fully dominant over the divine spark. Though described differently, the essence remains the same. A collapse of consciousness into primal survival and rage. 6. Implications for human life. The descent into darkness is not a mythological fate, but a lived psychological and spiritual reality. A person alive today can enter this state through addiction, violence, abuse, and complete disconnection from compassion. Hell is not only an afterlife realm, it can be a present reality when consciousness falls far enough. This also implies responsibility. At each stage, choices matter. The earlier a person becomes aware of their descent, the easier it is to reverse the spiral and reorient toward light. 7. Conclusion. The state of darkness represents the lowest possible level of consciousness, the inverse of enlightenment. It is the endpoint of a 7-stage descent, each step pulling the soul further into collapse, like a whirlpool dragging it into its core. Recognizing this path allows us to understand both the danger of ignoring our higher nature and the importance of consciously choosing growth, love, and unity. Where enlightenment leads to heaven, the state of darkness leads to hell. Yet within every darkness, a spark of light still remains, waiting to be remembered.